Hey folks, this is Jeff from Wickedoil.com. This is the third video in the How to Think, Not What to Think series. And if you appreciate what I'm sharing here, then all I ask is that you come over to the website, wickedoil.com, and look up products on the left side of the screen. There is a little menu for looking up products for light cars and pickups and stuff like that, or whatever, ATV or whatever you have, and buy some products. Once you try them, it's hard to go back, man. Not because you can't, it's because it's that good. Trust me. This is one of those places where you hear about a product and it's well worth it. I can promise you that. Anyway, onto the subject. Okay, what I want to talk about is one of the biggest problems that we run into in life these days, in what we call we don't even call it this anymore, the information age. It's just now the information age is just normal. It's what it is now. So we don't really think of it as the information age anymore. At least I don't. And if I don't, then that means everybody else doesn't. Just playing. The thing that I want to point out here is that it's like the movie industry. Now, if you are, I don't know, probably 30 or younger, this may seem may not sit quite well with you because you're probably not old enough to have really experienced hell, I don't even know how to say it. Well, it's like, to me, old movies are movies that were made in the 50s and even the 60s. Because I was born in 1963, so I started becoming cognizant of things probably around 69, about the year of Woodstock and stuff like that. Anyway, in the old days, in the old days, even before that, they used to, before TVs were big, they had, the radio, and they had these shows. I can't think of the name of one of the real popular ones, but anyway, they had actors that would act out kind of like a movie, but you didn't get the visual. All you got was the audio. So the way they did it was they would speak in terms that caused you, it sparked your imagination so that your mind filled in the picture that they're describing. Okay, they didn't tell you what the scene was. They spoke in terms that caused your mind to fill in the blanks and create the image in your mind, which is why that era, those kinds of shows were known as the theater of the mind. Now, if you're honest with yourself and you've watched a fair amount of, we'll say movies, okay, shows too, but I'm gonna stick with movies. If you're honest with yourself, some of the absolute best movies that you've seen, the ones that you absolutely love, aside from the ones that were just outright funny or, so poignant that it just grabbed you because it was something you could identify with. But on average, the movies that really are the best ones are the ones where they don't show you every damn little detail of the show. What they do is they plant the idea through body language, through certain word usage, certain phrasing, it's like in the old days. Now, if there's a love scene, not a love scene, well, the two lovers, they get into the bed and then they do this. They try to have the most passionate love scene you could ever see without you actually seeing, this, okay? But they go right up to that point, and they absolutely show you every damn detail to where it's not a mystery at all. But in the old days, what they did was they alluded to to that happening, and it was way better, man. I mean, hey, I love to see a chick with a nice rack as much as any guy does, and I'm sure there's probably women out there like, oh man, they actually showed a guy and showed his, his penis hanging out there, or whatever. And I hear you, but if you're honest with yourself, the ones that really grab you, the ones that really grab you in here and get you going, are the ones where they allude to the act and let your imagination fill in the blank. Okay? Well, they have taken that technology and they have brought it to the point now where everything that you are involved in, that you're exposed to, and think about it, listen to what I'm going to say here. Everything on a scale of 1 to 10 has to be about a 15 in order for you to find it interesting. I mean, maybe 13 is a better number, but it's over 10 is what I'm trying to get at, okay? Everything that you find it's like my son. He told me one day, he says, my son is, how old is my son? He's in his 40s now. Wow. Anyway, he was telling me about this movie. And I don't remember what the movie was, but he was just, oh my God, it was just so absolutely, this is just the coolest movie I've ever seen. And I was like, well, maybe I better watch it. So I pulled it up and I started watching it. And all it was a movie version of a CGI or a video game, one of those high-end video games, shoot 'em up, it was just, I couldn't even finish watching the movie. It was stupid. It was absurd. I was like, if I wanted to watch a video game, wouldn't I just grab a video game? But anyway, and there have been plenty of other things, man. All these movies. It's like there was a Superman movie, and I don't remember which one it was. Now, when I grew up, there was the Superman from the 50s, Christopher Reeves. And then there was the one in I guess it was the 80s and the 90s with, is it Christopher? No, Christopher Reeves, that's the one from the 80s and 90s. Jim Reeves was the original Superman back in the 50s. Anyway, I don't think they're any relation. But anyway, and there was this, Man of Steel, that's what it was, the Man of Steel. And I was like, I figured it was going to be one of those stupid ones. And I said, I started watching it. And, the storyline was great, man. It was a great storyline. It really was. And I was really enjoying the movie. And then I remember this part where Superman, I don't remember, this has been a number of years since I've seen this, but I remember he ended up out in space, and it was like there was a comet coming, I think it was, or something like that, and he was out in space and he's punching this, and he's pushing this comet or planet or whatever it was backwards, and it was just like this, it was like the proverbial, irresistible force meeting an immovable object kind of thing. And I remember looking at that and I was thinking, now, I wish somebody would explain to me why some dumbass had this great movie dialogue going along, and then all of a sudden they thought, nobody's going to like it unless we do this absolute unrealistic bullshit, in this movie. And it absolutely turned me off to the movie. And I think I finished watching it, but it just from that point on, it just escalated. And it's kind of like these current karate movies. And when I say current, I'm talking about the karate movies of the last decade or two, to where these guys just do these acts that defy the laws of physics. There's absolutely no possible way you could do these kind of actions. And it's like, yeah, okay, in an imaginative way, yeah, that's cool, but come on, man, who are you trying to bullshit here? Okay, It'd be like there was a scene in the movie. I think it's called Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, where he's climbing, and he got these guys are after him, and he's in this ice cave, and he's climbing up this thing, and they had this scene that they actually cut out of the movie because somebody realized, this is just absolutely unrealistic, and he's in this frozen environment, and there's this patch of ice here, and he hanging up here like this, he punches a hole in the ice so that he can climb through and get out, and it's like somebody realized, dude, there's just no. Okay, that's absurd. Okay, so they cut the scene out. I mean, they had plenty of other scenes in that movie that were unrealistic, but they weren't so unrealistic that they were absolutely impossible kind of things. At least not many of them. So anyway, my point is this. It's like the music industry. Now, I have, in different times of my life, I've had my drifting thoughts towards stardom and stuff like that with my music and stuff like that, but I've never really been serious about it, so nothing's ever happened. So, but the interesting thing about the music industry is they have painted themselves into a corner so perversely that they don't want anything that doesn't fit the cookie cutter mold. In other words, you have to have this many seconds of the first stanza, then you got to have a bridge, and then you got to have the second part, and then you have to have this great big, blow up crescendo kind of, razzle dazzle kind of something, and then you have to have some, the outtake kind of the song. And that's all they want, okay? And if you do anything outside of that, it's an it's an uphill struggle anyway, trying to get yourself recognized. But if you don't follow their cookie cutter, boring crap, they don't even want to talk to you, And the thing is, if the music that's being put out these days, now I know somebody's going to go, oh, well, you're just an old dude. You don't like the new music. No, that's really not what it is. What it is that I listen to this stuff, and it's just not creative, man. It's just the same old crap regurgitated and chewed up and spat out, and it's like listening to like one of these country songs. Country music, man. I never liked the old country western stuff, from my dad's era. I wasn't really into my dog bit my wife, and they both ran away together and got married in Rio de Janeiro, and they're never going to come back and all that other stuff, and I'm sad about that. It was never really my bag. But these days, country music has turned into this. It's like heckling. It's like, what's that? I said heckling, but there's a word for a certain kind of like hillbilly singing, and it's yodeling. It's they're almost yodeling. And it's like, I was listening to this song one day, and it's supposed to be a very popular song, and this guy's singing, oh, it's going out to the river, yeah, we're going out to the river we go, we're going to see the babes out at the river, Basically, that was kind of like the dialogue of the whole song, and I was just like, oh my fucking God. I mean, somebody's actually getting paid to make that garbage. Come on, man. I mean, I'm not saying that my way is the right way. I'm just saying, come on, man. If you're going to sing a song, be a little more creative than that, okay? And it's like the garbage that's out there these days, everything's about children, okay? They take these teenagers, male and female, but especially female, and they doll them up, and they can't sing, and they don't write their own music, and they create this image, this artificial entity, and they like I said, they can't sing, and they put them through their vocals through a processor to correct their pitch to make it sound like they can sing. And you've got you've got people that are just loving. Oh my God, they're just the greatest. Oh my God, it's so inspiring and all that stuff. And it's like, if you take away the processed vocals, and you take away the musicians that are standing in to do their music for them that they don't know anything about, they're just standing in and singing what they're told to sing. And they're dressing up so that, everybody seems to be all in an uproar about pedophilia. But, the movie industry, and especially the music industry, they peddle teen pornography on some level all day long, every day. And for some reason, that's okay. Okay? It's more BS that we're looking at. Okay? It's more illusion and delusion. Okay? And what am I saying in all this? I'm saying you've got to look at this stuff for what it is. Okay? You have to see past the baloney. Okay? When we're talking about the news media, for instance, you've probably heard this before. In the old days, and I'm not saying they were perfect back then, in the days of Walter Cronkite and hell, I can't even think of all their Dan Rather and all those guys. And before that, the idea back then was that they were telling you the news, they're telling you the facts, and then you form your own opinion. If you pay attention now, they don't tell you the facts. What they tell you is what to think. They tell you what they want you to think, and you fall for that shit. That's exactly what they do. They tell you what to think, and that's what you think, because you're told to think that way. You're told to buy that because they use inflammatory statements to control you emotionally. Okay? And the thing is, there is so much competition in the world of media. Now, if you are on salary and you have a media show of some sort, then you are expected to produce a fan base, basically, and keep them entertained, and keep them watching, because if you're not getting the stats, you're not going to be on salary very long. And if you are working as a freelance to where you write a story or you make a video story or however it is, and you have to submit it to some editor somewhere for them to decide if your work is good enough or not, if they don't decide that it's good enough, you're not getting paid. So what's the natural extension of that? Well, you take whatever you have and you bolster it into something that people will, quote unquote, want to hear. And what it turns into is sensationalism. What they do is they take a interesting story and they tell it in a way that makes it, sensational. It makes you either shocks you, or it plays with your emotions and gets you to think or act a certain way. And I admit it's kind of hard to stand back and watch what's going on and recognize it, because they're good at their job, okay? And one thing in closing in this, we're almost at 20 minutes now. In closing, this is what I want to tell you. This is what I want you to learn, okay? When somebody is saying something and you feel yourself rising up inside, you feel that emotion, I'm not talking about a tearful scene in a movie. I mean, who doesn't love those, because they make you feel something. I'm talking about when somebody's telling you what to think, okay? and they're causing you to rise up. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay? Stop for a second. Just stop for a minute and look at what's being said. Listen to what's being said. Look at the situation. Are you being told what to think? Because 95% of the time, that's exactly what's happening. You're being told what to think, and if you don't catch it, now I'm really practiced at this and I'm really good at it, and I still fall into this trap. I catch myself on a regular basis. Somebody will be saying something, and I feel myself going, yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute. Does this make sense? Wait a minute, does this make sense? And when I start looking at the situation in a realistic manner, there's a lot of times I'm like going, no, this is wrong because, and then I don't let it in. Okay? This is hard work, man. And it seems like an insurmountable task. But let me tell you something. Thinking is one of the easiest things you're ever going to do. Now, it's hard to work through a lot of things, but it's not hard to think. And the thing is, you can be thinking about something while you're mowing the grass, or while you're cooking dinner, or while you're sitting having a beer, or whatever it is you do. Okay? That's the thing to remember. Thinking is easy. Learning is easy. But it does take a little practice, and you have to get into the rhythm of it. And here's the deal. If you start doing it, it doesn't matter if you're 8 years old or if you're 80. Once you start building up a repertoire of things that you catch right off the bat. Okay? You start picking up on body language. You start picking up on tone, voice. You start picking up on the words that are being said, and you start picking up on the lies and the exaggerations and the nonsense. And that's what it takes to learn how to think, not what to think. Okay? So I'm going to close it out with that. If you appreciate what's being shared here, again, please visit us at wickedoil.com. We've got something for just about any application that you can imagine, and I promise you this is the best stuff you're going to find. Thank you and have a good day.